Welcome back to the Excellence is in Utilities podcast, where we explore what it really takes to unlock excellence inside utilities organisations. I'm Megan James, and today we're tackling a challenge that almost every utility faces: why big one-off transformations don't always deliver lasting results, and how continuous improvement, what we call the improve principle in the SA Partners Enterprise Excellence model, offers an alternative model for transformation. At SA Partners, we believe excellence already lives inside every organisation. It's in its systems, it's in its people, and in the daily work that they do. But sometimes that excellence gets buried under outdated processes, fragmented alignment, or ways of working that just no longer serve the business. So today we're going to talk about how to uncover that excellence and make improvement a daily habit, not just a project milestone. So let's talk a bit about transformation. I guess across the utility sector, transformation for many has become a constant headline. New digital systems, there's a lot of asset modernization, very frequent restructures, and of course things like sustainability targets driving a lot of change. Within this, we see big changes, radical shifts. The focus is on long-tail programs and big complex projects. These are, of course, important and often in many cases unavoidable, especially when you've got big CapEx investment, for instance. However, not everything suits this level of what we call discontinuous improvement. And in many instances, transformational change struggles to deliver on its promises. Of course, it creates a burst of momentum, a wave of excitement, and often really impressive short-term results. But I guess the problem we see is that after the project ends and after the consultants leave, the spotlight fades and performance often begins to slip. Processes drift yet again, and people revert back to their old ways of working. So whilst a future state is easy to define and to envisage, realizing that in reality requires both changes to ways of working and thinking that are harder to change overnight. Without continuous improvement capability built into the culture, transformation is often done to people rather than done by them. So the improve principle that we're going to talk about today is what we believe bridges that gap. It's how we work the work, how we unite purpose, process, and people so that excellence becomes a natural way of operating every day. So, many of you will have felt this when an organization is trapped in these discontinuous improvement or transformation cycles. There's often in utilities organizations a constant competition for resources. Transformation programs are happening pretty much everywhere, and all of them struggling and competing for both capability and capacity. As a result, the people within that are exhausted. We spend a lot of time managing short-term program delivery targets. And often each new program feels like starting over. We have a new brand, a new software. We have new frustrations when that isn't realized. And as for leaders, it's frustrating that these huge investments in change, both in terms of time and resource, are just not realizing the benefits that we're looking for. So across that board, that leads to a lot of change fatigue. It's often confusing when multiple transformation programs are running in parallel. And bolting on program or change management resource, of course, helps with that delivery. But in many cases, this builds a culture of management rather than doing, of managing change rather than really being part of it. And it becomes a cycle of effort that promises it will be different this time round and promises those big results, but that can lead to both organizational and individual burnout within that. So the improved principle we talk about at SA Partners offers another way of working, and what we like to think of as a more sustainable and people-centric way of working. The improved principle is about embedding capability to learn, to adapt, to lead bottom-up positive change with every person, every day. It's about creating a rhythm of reflection, of problem solving and collaboration that lives inside the daily routines of the people within the business. And most importantly, it's about creating small incremental bottom-up driven improvements that together deliver on the future transformation promises. So for utilities, this means frontline engineers, planners and schedulers, for instance, all having the skills and confidence to identify waste, remove obstacles, and make small, meaningful changes that help build momentum. It's less about management and governance from the top and more about engaging and aligning every employee in a common future through continuous improvement methodologies. And that's how you start to build both capability and commitment, not through adding more large-scale projects, but by giving people permission and the opportunity to make things better a little bit each and every day. So let's make this practical and talk about how utilities can start building a real continuous improvement capability. And many utilities are already on this journey. So I think the first place that all organizations start is really to build both CI skills and mindsets. So often that means investing in training and helping people to understand processes, spot waste, and solve problems. We typically use simple tools like plan, do, check, act, or root cause analysis. These skills build confidence, and confidence then drives improvement. But of course, building skills and mindsets is only one step in that journey. To build on that and to really give those skills a home, you need to build continuous improvement into daily improvement routines. So looking at 10-minute huddles at the start and end of every shift, or introducing visual boards that show team performance, can make a huge difference and help raise problems to the surface. That also allows teams to know if they're winning or losing on a daily basis. So we need to find a way to make improvement both visible and routine. Layering on top of this, we need to also coach leaders to lead improvement rather than command it. Now, we talked about this a lot in a lot of the other podcasts, so I won't go into it in a lot of detail. But there is a requirement for leaders to create the conditions for learning and for improvement, to celebrate small wins, to support experimentation, and coach teams to fix problems at source rather than firefighting everything themselves. And that means a real change in behaviors from the way that classically utilities organizations are set up. Finally, we need to connect transformation to capability. There is, of course, a time and place for big discontinuous transformation. However, every big project should leave behind a stronger ability to improve. So we need to think with every piece of change, not just how we deliver a new process, but how we use that as an opportunity to deliver a team that can refine and evolve it over long after the project ends, as well as replicate this and scale elsewhere in the organization. When you build improvement capability alongside transformation, you start to create organizations that can improve because they can, not because they have to. So thank you again for joining us on Excellences in Utilities. Once again, we are inviting established utilities providers to apply for our utilities benchmarking study, designed to better understand, share, and collaborate around industry-wide challenges of delivering excellence. Each participating organisation will receive an enterprise gap assessment, a detailed report, and a road mapping session with the SA Partners team, helping you to better understand your unique journey to excellence. Apply now to see where excellence lives in your organisation, how to find it, nurture it, and sustain it using the QR code on the screen to the link in the podcast overview. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next week on Excellences in Utilities.